While the CR bill is very bad, the potential for a shutdown has consequences for America that are much, much worse. I believe it is my job to make the best choice for the country to minimize the harms to the American people. Therefore, I will vote to keep the government open and not shut it down.
Then he dressed up like a woman and came dancing out doing high kicks and said he now identifies as a turtle rather than a lizard, which he's identified as for many years now. A very good Friday to you once again. Hour number 3. Got a fun tweet from Vintage Audiophile. Vintage Audiophile, that's a fun name too. Guessing he has turntables and got receivers with tubes, glass tubes and things like that. Record players at 33 1/3 RPM. Got stylus on the arm of all that good stuff. But Vintage Audiophile tweeted, Chris, thank you for your superb knowledge, delivery, and wit over the years on WMAL. In Florida now from Virginia, I apologize for using your quote I stole from your show on recent X posts, but this quote is all yours. It's good to be a Democrat. It's in quotation marks. It's good to be a Democrat. See? It's brilliant. James, he said, James is Vintage Audiophile. That's why everybody's welcome to use my, this is all open. And there are a lot of people that have radio shows and television shows that use my many lines. Like it's good to be a Democrat. And were it not for double standards, liberals would have no standards at all. And the list goes on from there, to be sure. No doubt about it. So we got that. But very nice. Thank you, James. We were amused by that today. And good handle, Vintage Audiophile. That's fun. Fun. My brothers in Chicago share a text thread with brothers in Chicago. And one of my brothers in particular in Chicago is a big weather guy. He loves because Chicago has got a certain amount of weather, right? They're known for their weather, not really good weather as a rule, although sometimes, when it's nice, it really is nice in Chicago. But one of my brothers in Chicago, weather guy, sent along an article from the Chicago Tribune today, because they're the news media, they love to terrorize everyone and terrify everyone. And they love terrorizing. I think CBS News and Dan Rather started this years ago, terrorizing people with the weather. But my brother laughed about this one and passed it along. The story in the Chicago Tribune today. Megastorm coming. Megastorm. It's a megastorm. Megastorm coming. That's a gigantic storm. And here's what they write. More than 100 million people in the U.S., that's a lot of people, more than 100 million people in the U.S., will be in the path of an intense March storm starting Friday, that's today, as the vast multi-day system threatens fires, blizzards, tornadoes, and floods as it heads east from the Great Plains. Now, wait a minute. It's a megastorm. It's going to start fires. Fires are going to be started. I got snow. There's going to be a blizzard. Got a brother in San Diego, California, and he loves to go up into the mountains and go snowboarding. Used to ski, now he snowboards. And so my brother pointed out, he said, hey, you got another snowstorm coming your way. Get your snowboard waxed up and ready to go. So good stuff. But then he read the article and just burst out laughing because the multi-day system threatens fires, blizzards, tornadoes, and floods. How about earthquakes? Shouldn't there be earthquakes? Lightning strikes? Scientists, they spoke to experts. Scientists said the storm's strength and potential for far-reaching impacts is notable. Sure. But its timing isn't particularly unusual. So really it's just weather as usual. But first they've got the terror the terror right through here with the death, mayhem, absolute madness, I tell you. Madness. Man, oh, man. Funny piece from Scott Bessent. Scott Bessent, right? He's a new Trump administration guy. And as Treasury Secretary, he's learning a lot about the world. Secretary Scott Bessent, he tweeted, "When I was on the other side of the wall," meaning before he joined government, "when I was on the other side of the wall, I never really liked the term fake news." And he put fake news in quotation marks. Now, that's Donald Trump's term. I think he coined fake news. He certainly popularized it, even if he didn't invent it himself. But Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, says, "When I was on the other side of the wall, I never really liked the term fake news. Now that I'm on the inside and I can see what they're reporting, I think the term fake news probably isn't strong enough." Probably isn't strong enough. That is pretty good stuff, I've got to say. Now that I'm on the other side, now that I see what's going on here, I think maybe the term fake news isn't strong enough. I'm with you, Mr. Secretary. I've been talking about this for some time now, haven't I? Yes, I have, no doubt about it. Let's get back to the lunatics because, they've got gender issues. They love Hamas and hate Israel. They're what do they have? We got one of them is transgender, identifies as a turtle. He says that he's a she that goes by they, them, and turtle because he thinks he's a turtle. These are not bright people. Pretty amazing stuff. Let's go to number seven. Numero siete. On CNN, they got Jake Tapper, former Democrat, Capitol Hill staffer, worked for a left-wing Democrat in the House of Representatives whose son married Chelsea Clinton because it's all a circle fest in a hot tub, isn't it? Jake Tapper, with his pal, spoke to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and listen to this. This is just classic fake news, as the Treasury Secretary might say.
Chuck Schumer, I guess the Senate Democratic leader, your senator, said at this meeting that he is going to vote for cloture. He is going to vote to allow there to be a simple majority vote. You think that's wrong?
I believe that's a tremendous mistake. Yes.
Why?
The American people, whether they are Republicans, Independents, Democrats, are up in arms about Elon Musk and the actual gutting of federal agencies across the board. This continuing resolution codifies much of this chaos that Elon Musk is wreaking havoc on the federal government. It codifies many of those changes.
You know, it's not codifying chaos. The chaos has been codified long since. And, you know, I every time I listen to AOC trying to intellectualize anything, I think of her freaking out when she moved to Washington, D.C. after being elected to Congress. She won a contest in New York that her brother entered her into because left-wingers were saying, hey, find someone that everyone wants to have sex with, and let's run her for Congress. And that's where AOC came from. And now she's a member of the House of Representatives. But when she moved here, she discovered that we have new technologies here, like garbage disposals, which really threw her for a loop.
I am told this is a garbage disposal. I've never seen a garbage disposal. I never had one in any place I've ever lived.
She's like 30.
It is terrifying.
It's terrifying. She also discovered when she came to Washington, D.C., that there's a lot of this going on in Washington. The community garden, we have one in my neighborhood too. And you can get a little plot and put some chicken wire around it. You can grow lettuce and stuff. And somebody in the community garden created a plot with her name on it and put some lettuce in there growing in the dirt. And she went there and she discovered that lettuce doesn't just come from Whole Foods. It actually grows in dirt.
I am shook. Look, like, honestly, gardening, food, that comes out of dirt. Like, it's magic.
She's undoubtedly put on the Agriculture Committee by the Democrats because I got to tell you, And AOC, she's on with Jake Tapper, a Democrat, he started his career in journalism by going on a date with Monica Lewinsky. I think everybody knows how that came out, but that's another thing. AOC.
This turns the federal government into a slush fund for Donald Trump and Elon Musk. It sacrifices congressional authority, and it is deeply partisan. And so to me, it is almost unthinkable why Senate Democrats would vote to hand the few pieces of leverage that we have away for free when we've been sent here to protect Social Security, protect Medicaid, and protect Medicare.
You should probably self-immolate. I think the only rational response would be to drench yourself in gasoline, pouring a big 5-gallon bucket of gasoline on yourself, and then don't use a Bic lighter. Use a Zippo lighter. The old trusty Zippo lighter is definitely the right tool for the job there. And it's the slush fund. That's our slush fund. And we just found that Joe Biden gave $20 billion minutes before walking out the door to radical environmental groups and gave $2 billion to Stacey Abrams, the two-time loser in the state of Georgia, never won an election. Just amazing. Well, I guess she won something, but not the governor's mansion. Isn't she amazing? AOC, every day is an IQ test.
I think there is a deep sense of outrage and betrayal. And this is not just about progressive Democrats. This is across the board, the entire party.
Yeah, the entire party is, they feel that Schumer has betrayed them, a deep sense of betrayal and outrage. They're always outraged. That's why the self-immolation. Nobody self-immolates more than the American left. Buddhist monks didn't self-immolate at nearly the rate that Democrats during the Vietnam War, the rate that Democrats are self-immolating today. There is a Democrat, member of the House of Representatives from Texas named Greg Casar. He's very angry, too. You can't let the Republicans, just because they control the House and the Senate and the White House, pass a spending bill to keep the government open. We've got to shut the government down because Wolf Blitzer will blame the Republicans.
Senate Democrats should do the same thing House Democrats did, which is fight for our constituents and block this bill.
Yeah, block this bill and shut the government down today on Friday because... you know what? If the rascally lizard-like Democrats led by the Lizard King Chuck Schumer, if they vote to keep the government open today, let me provide you with some alarming news. Today at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, the government's going to shut down anyway because it's Friday, and tomorrow's Saturday, and that's usually followed by Sunday, and the government always closes Friday, usually at 4. Not 5, and sometimes 3, depending on where you're working, and because they have these staggered schedules in Washington in many cases. Amazing. And then you got Pramila Jayapal. She's a radical from Washington, the state of Washington, and she's an extremist. She hates the Jews and America, too. And boy, you guys got to goose step together. You're wearing the same hobnailed boots and armbands for... Come on, you got to stick together. Sieg Heil, Sieg Heil.
Democratic senators should stick together because they need 8 if Rand Paul stays. And so the work we've been doing today is working with our Senate colleagues to help make sure that people do that.
Shut the government down. Got to shut the government down. And then Wolf Blitzer will say, well, everybody knows the Democrats want to keep the government open, and it's the Republicans that want to shut it down.
Clearly, Congressman, the Democrats don't want the government to shut down. And
lie. That's an absolute lie, a lying liar, lying for the Democrat Party in the name of lying for the Democrat Party. They are breathtaking in their corruption. And as our Treasury Secretary said, he never liked the term fake news when he was on the outside, the other side of the wall. Now he's on the inside, and I'm not sure that fake news is harsh enough. That's pretty good stuff. Welcome to the party, pal. You know that the all-new third-generation Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier is finally available to all of us, and it builds on the incredible success of the previous 2 generations of Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifiers, and they quickly became bestsellers and 5-star reviews all over Al Gore's amazing internet. This new Eden Pure thunderstorm uses two different technologies that studies have proven help to kill up to 99.9% of bacteria and viruses like the Wu. Also removes dust and pet dander and smoke and all kinds of nastiness from the air that you breathe, that we all breathe. And it gets rid of any odor, any smelly odor, with no filters to have to buy and replace on a schedule. That's annoying. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm will help get rid of any stinky smell. Talking about litter boxes and shoes, a teenager's room, even left-wing protesters are no match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. And right now, when you buy one Thunderstorm, you're going to get one free. That is to say, no matter how many you buy, you get an equal number for free. You buy 5, you get 5 for free. Put them around your house, in the teenager's room, in the basement. Bring one to the office, give one as a gift. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com and use the discount code ChrisBogo. That's like buy one, get one. ChrisBogo, Chris Bogo, to get one free, get an equal number for free. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is ChrisBogo. Yes, sir. Yeah, these, what is the word? Kakistocracy. Government by the most inept, incompetent, stupidest people in your society. Kakistocracy. Not just for khaki pants anymore. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at WashingtonTimes.com/Chris. All right, I did find Scott Bessent was talking to Breitbart when he said that great stuff about fake news. I may share that with you coming up. Right now, let's go back to the telephones, Michael. Talk to real people, unlike the rest of the media. Let's go to Joe, calling from Millersville, Maryland. Joseph, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Hey, Chris. Listen to you as often as I can. I don't know how you're able to keep your sense of humor in these crazy times, but somehow you do it. And for that, we applaud you. My question today to you is, unless I missed it on the news, I have not heard any Democrat deny any of the findings of USAID and some of the ridiculous things that they have spent our money on. Have you?
The Democrats have not been coming out, and they come out a lot, don't they? There's a lot to come out about for them. But they have not come out and pounded the table, which they usually do, and said none of this is happening. Now, some of their media allies have done that. The Associated Press has claims about USAID funding are spreading online. Many are not based on facts. And so the news media picks it up. They take the baton, and then they hit the girl in the back of the head, while running around the track like Democrats. And they deny it for the Democrats, but the AP's lying here. Yeah, I got to tell you, Joe, you sent me to Al Gore's Amazing Internet because it's what I do. I look for the truth, and then I share it. So many liars out there, but the Associated Press, and this story is a perfect example of everything that's wrong with the media. In fact, we have Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, who was, he did an interview with Breitbart News, and they asked him about fake news, and he said, before, when I was on the other side of the wall, I never really liked the term fake news. It's clear that the term kind of annoyed him.
When I was on the other side of the wall, I never really liked the term fake news. Now that I am on the inside and I can see what they're reporting, I think the term fake news probably isn't strong enough.
Probably isn't strong enough, and he's right about that. And he's a calm, cool, collected guy, a very wealthy guy, very successful guy, and now he's in government. And it's true. I've been talking about this for many years now. A great many people no longer trust the media because of personal experience. People discover, if they ever find themselves as part of a news story, people discover how corrupt the news media is and how subtle the corruption can be. But since the Treasury Secretary mentioned that in his interview with Breitbart, Let me go back to this story, and since Joe brought it up wisely, correctly, intelligently, the headline from the Associated Press, and this is from a week ago, February 7th of 2025, A.D., Anno Domini, the year of our Lord. Claims about USAID funding are spreading online, period. Many are not based on facts. And you hear that, and you say, oh, sure, the damn right-winger is spreading. That's why Senator Schumer called us all bastards yesterday. Bastards. You don't have your father is not known to you like that. And here's what the Associated Press wrote 7 days ago. As the Trump administration moves to dismantle the U.S. Agency for International Development, false and misleading information is being pushed on social media to support the change, much of it spread by the administration and Elon Musk. You know, the death threats that Elon Musk is getting are over. He's laughing, but he's got to have, like SEAL Team 6 to provide protection to him. Delta Force. Amazing stuff. And the Associated Press says, the posts raise question about funding for certain projects and organizations, often claiming without evidence. They love that without evidence stuff. The news media is always without evidence, but never mind that. Without evidence that the money was used inappropriately. The Associated Press believes that putting on transgender operas in Colombia is money being used appropriately. Now, and I was asking Michael Piercy today how many dollars he paid to the tax dollars he paid in federal taxes last year to the federal government, and whether it was enough to pay for one transgender opera in Colombia. And that still remains unclear. That's personal information. Don't HIPAA me, So, but pretty amazing stuff, whether the money was used inappropriately. And then the Associated Press says, here's where they start lying. But most people don't get past the first few paragraphs, and they know that. That's one of the ways they corrupt everything. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said to reporters Tuesday that USAID had spent, not quoting her now, $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, $70,000 for the production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. And that's the end of the quote. Then the Associated Press writes, those claims were picked up and spread widely on social media throughout the week. Now listen to this. They're going to clarify here. Only the grant to Serbia, listen to this, only the grant to a Serbian organization, and she said $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, right? And then they write, only the grant to a Serbian organization called Grupa Izadja was awarded by USAID, $1.5 million for DEI in Serbian workplaces, right? 1.5. You know how many Americans work all year long to put 1.5 million into the kitty? This is why we're $36 trillion in debt. But listen to this, the Associated Press says. Its stated aim is to, quote, advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Serbia's workplaces and business communities, end quote. So the Associated Press is see, that's perfectly legitimate. 1.5 million taxpayer dollars to spread diversity, equity, inclusion in the workplaces of Serbia. And they're see, that's a good one. Well, now, hang on. Here's where they clarify. The rest were awarded by the State Department's Office of the Undersecretary for Public Diplomacy and Public Affairs. So they were all awarded, but not necessarily by USAID. The others were awarded through a State Department office that nobody's ever heard of, the Undersecretary for Public Diplomacy and Public Affairs. It granted $70,844 to an Irish company for, quote, a live musical event to promote the U.S. and Irish shared values of diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. So we did fund this. They're just disputing which corrupt pool of stupidity it came from. A grant for $25,000 was awarded in 2021 during Joe Biden to a university in Colombia, quote, to raise awareness and increase the transgender representation, end quote, through the production of an opera, a transgender opera, right? With an additional $22,020 coming from non-federal funding. So what is non-federal? But they leave it at that because they're the Associated Press. And $32,000 awarded in 2022, Joe Biden again, to a Peruvian organization funded, quote, a tailored-made comic. And it does say tailored-made, not tailor-made, but they tailored-made comic featuring an LGBTQ plus hero to address social and mental health issues. Yeah, you got a lot of mental health issues. So the Associated Press is pretending to fact-check this when in reality, we paid for all these idiotic things, as Caroline Levitt said, but not all of it necessarily came from the USAID pool of money, because there are all these different pools of money that are funding transgender comic books and Columbia and operas and all this good stuff. But, Joe, I got to tell you, we're paying for it all. And then the news media lies to us about it because, as the Soviet writer Elena Gorokova wrote in her book, A Mountain of Crumbs, they lied to us. We know they're lying to us. They know we know they're lying to us, and they keep lying to us. The Democrat Party, and this is 100% on the Democrat Party. Womp, womp, womp. Our Democrat, and I love the fact that Scott Bessent, our Treasury Secretary, said, that he didn't like the term fake news, thought it was stupid and misguided. Now it's not harsh enough. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. All right, let's go to soundbite number 12. Because Fox News, they've got a reporter, lovely and talented, the Aisha Hasni. She is a good reporter, a real reporter. And talking about Chuck Schumer yesterday, saying, we're going to shut the government down. Those bastards, those Republicans, we're going to shut them. We're going to shut the government down because we're self-righteous and holier than thou. And then Chuck Schumer came out and said, well, I'm going to vote for the Republican bill, and I hope you vote with me. And I'm the Democrat leader in the Senate. Aisha Hasni explaining what went wrong.
The change of heart came after a very tense lunch among Senate Democrats yesterday, in which I could personally hear what sounded like Senator Kirsten Gillibrand screaming at her colleagues about how a shutdown would look for them.
Wow. That's Kirsten Gillibrand. Is she transgender? Is she the bisexual one? Is that the... Yeah, the bisexual. She's the bisexual. We got to know all about it, too. Have they released videos? Because are they available on the internet or anything like that? Aren't they amazing? Yeah, and so Kirsten Gillibrand, and they're screaming at the top of her lungs at Chuck Schumer about how stupid we're going to look when the government shuts down because it's all their fault. But Schumer knows that Wolf Blitzer and CNN and ABC were all going to blame the Republicans for it because they're bastards and they didn't vote for any Republican anywhere, ever. They're the news media. Republican Senator Mark Wayne Mullen, who's a good guy. I had him on my TV show on Newsmax. Good guy, and he's fun. He had 3 mixed martial arts fights, professional fights, mixed martial arts. Mark Wayne Mullen did, and he won all 3 of them. I think 2 by knockout. And somebody was asking him when we were at Newsmax. He bench presses more than 400 pounds. Oklahoma Senator Mark Wayne Mullen talking about what Chuck Schumer did yesterday.
Chuck Schumer overplayed his hands, and fortunately we have Leader Thune who just outmaneuvered him. Thune said from the very beginning of this Congress that the Democrats can either do this the easy way or do it the hard way, and they have chose the hard way the entire time.
They chose the hard way the entire time. Well, they're not on our side. Boy, are they not on our side. Really not at all. Pretty amazing. Have you seen Maxine Waters? The Democrat congresswoman from California. She is severely mentally ill. She's violently, criminally insane. She represents the party of the first American Civil War, where the Democrats were the Confederate States of America. The Democrat president was named Jefferson Davis. The Republican president, the first Republican president ever, was Abraham Lincoln. And he was naturally shot in the head and assassinated shortly after the Democrats had their slaves taken away, because they really didn't want their slaves taken away. So the first Republican president shot and killed. Now what? 4 American presidents have been shot and killed. 3 of them were Republicans. One of them was John F. Kennedy, and was shot and killed by a communist, because the left, And keep in mind that today the Democrat Party is closer on the political spectrum to the communist assassin of John F. Kennedy, Lee Harvey Oswald, than they are on the political spectrum to John F. Kennedy, much closer to Lee Harvey Oswald, much closer to being communists than being John F. Kennedy on the political spectrum. Amazing stuff. But and the Democrat Party, they're the party of slavery. They're the party that created the White Knights of the KKK, their boy Nathan Bedford Forrest, the namesake of Forrest Gump in the movie Forrest Gump, Nathan Bedford Forrest. It's actually in the movie. And they're the party of every Jim Crow law. They're the party that stood in every schoolhouse door. Orville Faubus at Central High in Little Rock, Arkansas, 1957. George Wallace in Alabama. And Maxine Waters yesterday on a tear. She is severely deranged, mentally ill, criminally insane, and she wants more violence. The violent mob took over the lobby of Trump Tower in New York yesterday. We'll get to that as well. Maxine Waters yesterday with her insane rant, the Trump derangement syndrome on LSD.
What is Trump all about? Why is he doing this? Now, we know he wants to be a dictator. We know he's in love with Putin.
We know that.
We know he even loves Kim Jong-un in North Korea.
We
know all of that.
We know all of that.
But what does he do in gathering all of this power? I think perhaps it is about gathering the power and bringing us to our knees so that when he changes America with his vision, that we will be begging for crumbs, basically, because that's all he will be offering.
Yeah, right. That makes a lot of sense. And we know. She is literally mentally ill, severely mentally ill. And at her peak in her 20s, her IQ was about 11. And the Democrats love her. And on her knees, I'll let you write your own. We know he wants to be a dictator. We know he loves Putin. We know he loves Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong, North Korean dictator, communist dictator. And he said, well, there'll be crumbs left. That reminds me of the Elena Gorokova book from the Soviet Union called A Mountain of Crumbs, because that's all the communist pig dogs will leave anyone. Ask the survivors of the utopia that the commies created in Ukraine, for example. But wait, she's not done yet, because now it's time for civil war. It's Maxine Waters on the coming civil war in the United States.
I'm going to tell you what I'm worried about.
What are you worried about?
I'm worried that Trump is on the edge of creating a civil war. He alluded to it more than once. He alluded to the fact that if he did not get reelected, that there could be a civil war.
Yeah. No, he didn't. No. He said there might be a bloodbath, and he was talking about the car industry and the economy and these communists who killed 1 million babies last year and gave out Lucite blocks for it. They love killing, like the communists, because they're effectively communists. Don't kid yourself. They're out there kissing up a star. So wait a minute. He wants a civil war, but you guys are the party of the bullwhip and the plantation and hanging black people from trees with ropes. You guys are the party of Nathan Bedford Forrest and of Sheriff Bull Connor and of Governor Orville Faubus and of Governor George Wallace. Maxine Waters.
This president is putting us in a position where hungry people are going to be on the street, where seniors waiting for their Social Security check will not get it. And so when that happens, what does Trump expect? Oh, I believe he expects violence. I believe he expects confrontation. I believe he's working toward a civil war.
I believe civil war. There it is again. And that reminded us this morning of the Obama administration State Department official Victoria Nuland testifying under oath on Capitol Hill about how they use the Russian playbook.
It is classic Russian technique to blame on the other guy what they're planning to do themselves.
Yes. the old Russian play, talking about the Soviet playbook. But they're not bright people, Victoria Nuland's of the world. She's about as smart as Maxine Waters, I think. Yeah, but they project, and whatever they are doing or plan on doing, it's what they accuse you of. It's a form of deflection and mental illness, and they're all dealing with their gender issues, and they're not well. They're unwell. Now, the radical fascist Nazi kill all the Jews, armband-wearing lunatic Democrats took over the lobby at Trump Tower in New York yesterday, and there were scads of them, I tell you, hundreds of them, and they all showed up wearing overcoats, button up your overcoat, and then when they got inside, they peeled their coats off, and they're all wearing red T-shirts with slogans, various slogans on them, like, kill the Jews, Sieg Heil, Sieg Heil. Aktun, Aktun! Free Mahmoud, free them all. It's Mahmoud Khalil, who is the terrorist who wants to kill all the Jews. And the Democrats and the Ivy League universities, they're raising people to be essentially the Nazi party of the 21st century. Brainwashed little lunatics. And then, about 100 of them were arrested. Let's go to J.D. Vance arriving at the Kennedy Center yesterday, arriving at their seats. And the radicals started yelling and shouting. And it's being debated whether one guy yelled, whether they killed the vice president, right? Or kill the vice, or kill the lights.
Kill that light!
Did he say kill the lights or kill the vice? It's being hotly debated. What did he say? What did the guy say in the crowd? Kill the vice or kill the lights? Now, the National Symphony Orchestra was assembling on the stage. It was, they were still walking out. There was no time to cut the lights.
Kill that light!
Why would you kill the lights? The symphony orchestra, the players are still assembling on the stage. But some lefties yelling about killing something. How many people have to